So what is your name and what do you do?
Ah, I turn the volume up. Okay. So I am Tracy Kumbera, and I am a multidimensional guide. I do intuitive soul coaching sessions where I talk to your soul, your guides, your dragons, source itself, any being, in order to help you get past patterns and programs, release things, clear, heal, find your true soul mission and your true life path, and so much else.
Yeah, you are really fun to have a session with. So
Oh, thank you.
so when I had a first session with you in person at the spa in Sedona, I
Hmm.
had just broken up with my girlfriend and she had told me that I should get an energy healing session. And I knew I kind of I had a vague idea what I was going to do with my life. And I knew it was going to be something energy work, something organite, something spiritual like that.
Hmm.
And so I looked up energy healing Sedona. I found you and
Yeah.
I saw 111 everywhere when I was coming to the session. When I got there at the spa, we did it in a room that was different from the one that you usually use. And it was like room 11 or room 111,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Room 11 with a
Yeah,
tachyon pyramid in it.
yes.
Yeah.
There was like a Metatron's cube above the table
Hmm.
where I was laying down.
Yeah.
You had me hold these wands of Horus,
Yeah.
which was
Tachyon
awesome.
rods.
That was the first time I've experienced those, and those are really neat.
Yeah.
And man, and when you began, you just took over. Like you were like, okay, so like when I first walked in, I saw all this galactic energy above your head, and it's just like, and I didn't say, I don't think I said like two words the entire time because you just like took off with it. And I came out of that so inspired. Like I came up with the Earth and Galaxy name for like my kind of business, my venture, my
Hmm.
website. And because you just talked so much about how I had a very strong galactic energy and then a really strong connection to earth and kind of like how my process was I was learning to bring up more of that energy from the earth and it was so fun the way you described how the energies were moving like I was like it like the energies from the earth were like bubbling up kind of like a hot spring or something and you were mentioning things that you had no way of knowing and like things about myself I've never told anybody and the hot spring thing was so funny because I've been obsessed with hot springs for a few years, um, before the energy healing. And oh man, that was just so fun. And you had fun with it too. Like afterwards, when we were done, you're like, yo, that was really fun.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It,
so
I'll tell you, when I get
yeah,
information, I have to pass it on because while someone's telling their story, if I have to remember everything that spirit's telling me, especially because like your soul will say three different things at once. And then I have to orchestrate in my head what I tell you because I can't give you all the information at once. Like telepathically, I can, right? But verbally, you got to line things up. And so it's like, no, if I'm getting all of this. And, it's sometimes people are in a difficult part of their journey. And then other times, people are just at the precipice and everything's rolling and they've got all of this support, so you have a really great time because you're seeing that, your whole spirit team, your peeps are all lined up helping you and everything's ready to go. And that's one of the most beautiful things about for me seeing everything is like, wow, look what's going on with you. Look where you are. Because a lot of times we think we're blocked when we're like, have our hand on the door handle and we're about to open the door and walk through. And we see nothing and we're blocked, where we think we're blocked, we're never blocked. And so yeah, it's wonderful when I get to see all of that stuff coming in. I wish everyone could see what I see, and maybe in a few years,
yeah.
y'all will.
In a few years we will.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, with contact, everybody this summer, I think everyone's intuition is opening up. My clients are telling me they're getting more telepathic messages, they're sensing more, being more sensitive and having a hard time with all the intense energies or the solar flares. That's actually all of your intuition opening up more. So, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good thing.
and there's so many people like I was surprised how many people I got like subscribe to my TikTok and that are really open to the message of like multidimensionality and
Hmm.
coming into the heart. Um, I made a video about the precession of the equinox and how women are going to lead us back to the golden age, and how men and women kind of pass the baton between each other through the whole
Hmm.
26,650 year cycle. And that video went crazy, and people loved it. Well, and the first sentence of the video too was that women are going to lead us, and like I think that was accidentally like a really good hook anyway. But
There you go. I mean,
yeah,
we
no,
are
and people
returning
loved
to
it.
the divine feminine. You
Yeah,
know, it's we're returning to divine neutral, but because we've been patriarchal for so many hundreds and thousands of years, a lot of us have to swing all the way back to divine feminine to settle in the middle. But because we're dualistic, humanity, humans are dualistic, right? Then we have the masculine and feminine, and we have to find that balance. And so that means the rise of the divine feminine, the rise of the goddess. Yes. And
yeah,
there's feminine in everyone, male, female, doesn't matter, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And living in a feminine way is easy, comparatively.
Hmm.
Um, a point I like to make is, and this is something that a lot of the men like that would like to research like history and things. They talk about how in matriarchal societies, it was like longhouse society, and like the matriarch like beat men over the head with a cudgel if they were getting out of line. And like I like to emphasize that that's not what the kind of divine feminine leadership is going to be like. Uh, that's not like an awakened. That's not a very high consciousness.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like, I think that's a really good question for you. Is what do you think um, women leading humanity going forward is going to look like?
I think it's going to be more calm, more honor and respect. You know what spirit said to me, and this will take a left turn. It's very tantric, where there is all of that unity and honor and respect and um, adoration. And so when both parties really feel that with each other, and the other person really matters, and you're able to be raw and vulnerable and express yourself, there's more intimacy, there's more trust. That's what I love about conscious communication. More intimacy, more trust, and a deeper relationship. And when it comes to, will women lead this world? I mean, there are women leaders in different countries already, but to me, it's more of the rise of the divine feminine, bringing us into that tantric unity. And when you have that, then the world leads itself, because we can finally have community in the way that it was meant to be. That like communism didn't go over so well, but community in the early days of Sedona, when it was still lots of hippies and healers, such a beautiful sense of community. That's what we're coming back round to. So, yeah, I don't know if it'll be a matriarchy as much as it'll be pure community, but unconditional love led from the heart, instead of the ego.
Yeah, and I think so many people have never kind of had the example. They don't know what to think and imagine that it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good example to think of, is like the high vibrational hippies. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's funny. I've kind of that's an energy that I've run into myself, because the sacral chakra is a very feminine chakra, and the heart is a very feminine place, and it's pretty tantric in there. And that's kind of like when you spend your time in there, you become like more sensual, and you kind of naturally emanate that around you. And yeah, that kind of sweetness, really, and that sweetness that has it's safe to express itself when there's that
Yeah.
baseline unconditional love. And it
Hmm.
so that yeah, I think that's a really cool aspect of it.
Hmm. I
Um,
mean, think if everyone knew that they were loved and supported no matter what, imagine what they would say, what they would ask for, what they would try if they knew they were in the safe, sacred space and they were loved and supported, and if And if they tried something and it fell flat, okay, they tried it. But now, you know, with duality, it comes polarity, right? And so too much masculine, too much feminine, too much judgment, too much criticism, you know, same with self-judgment, self-criticism. And so everybody tends to shut down. Well, that's another place we're at in our ascension right now is we can no longer just shut down and block ourselves off from it. You know, protect your energy and guard yourself. No, shine your light so bright that you outshine anyone that is being low vibrational, being, you know, negative. And so, you know, what's happening is we're feeling this huge sensitivity to the energies because we can no longer hide from them. We can no longer shut them down because we have to get through it and learn to create coherence, learn to harmonize with all the energies, with each other, no matter what frequency we're at in any moment. And I don't know, that's raw. It's difficult because we're feeling more like everybody. They're feeling more, they're sensing more, their stuff's coming up more, right? And it's a
Mhm.
lot to deal with when we're used to just shutting it down or, you know, using addictive tools to not feel it anymore. Can't do it anymore. Like it's on, we're in it, right? And so surrender to it. You know, feel what it is, find your light and shine it through it. You know, it's not always easy. We have our ups and downs, but we're doing it. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's where the divine feminine comes in for me.
Yeah, so whenever I have something going on with someone who's very intuitive healer, like before my session with you, I was like, I kind of always have this thing like, oh my God, they're gonna see everything, like, oh my God. Um, but then you come into it and there's just like complete acceptance and unconditional love, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay. It's like, if they can see everything, it's okay. Um, and
I will
that's
tell
that.
you, I don't try to see everything. You know, in my early days, I couldn't shut it off and I would see everything about everybody and I found it so invasive. So now in sessions, I'm like, you tell me what you want me to see because there are certain, especially traumas, you know, like I don't want to see anyone's traumas. I don't want to relive it, that video in my head. It'll play on my mind screen. I don't want to relive that, you know, and I'm sure some people wouldn't want to share it. And so I tend to only say what I'm told, and I have agreements with souls. Like, don't show me really horrible stuff. I don't want to have nightmares, you know. Like we'll just say trauma, you know, or abuse. It's like just say the word abuse. I'm not going there. And oftentimes, if I do see stuff, I either won't say it. Like when I trained other psychics at the Spa in Sedona, when I trained other energy healers, not just in Reiki, but in how to do sessions. I'm like, just because you see it doesn't mean you say it because that could shut someone down, you know, if you're worried about them seeing it. And a lot of people are like, but I could help them. If I tell them I see it, I can help them. And I'm like, they may not be there yet. They may not be ready for it yet. If they're not ready to share, I don't mention it. Or sometimes if it's really pertinent and their soul is like, you got to talk about this, I'll tell a story, you know, that, you know, sometimes when women, you know, face abuse, they do this or that. And so I won't say, yeah, I saw this in you. But it does bring up a really good point that when you have a session with any kind of um, light worker, healer, you know, coach, you have to they have to create that again safe sacred space, no judgment, no criticism, you know, just to be divine neutral so that you can um, go through what you're meant to go through, like, right, you can release what you're meant to in that session because everything is like every opportunity is orchestrated by your soul. So, you know, the moment you made, I tell people this in sessions every day, the minute you book, the archangels start working on you, your soul team starts working on you, like everyone gets to work because that's your permission. You're like, no, I want to do this. Like, you know, I want to heal, I want to release, I want to step forward, whatever it is. Like, I'm committing to it. I booked. And so everyone gets rolling. So yeah, when someone brings in, when a healer brings in the love and the safety, that's when you, as a client, can do your best work, your most work, right? Because you're in that
Mhm.
environment. It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, that's what really allows you to release. Um,
Hmm.
so I think it's important to just say because so you can see energy,
Yeah,
and so which that must be incredible. And you hear angels, you can speak with them,
yeah,
archangels, and you
yeah,
speak directly to whoever you work with. You're speaking to their higher self too when you work with
yeah.
them.
To their soul. I mean, to their actual
Yeah,
soul. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
that's
and
incredible. It's
I
so
can
deep.
tell, well, when you look at energy signatures, when you start to read energy signatures, you can tell who it is. And I mean, after over 20 years, I know everybody. It's easy to tell because I've been doing it a long time. But with the energy signatures, you can tell which archangels they are, and which guides or galactics or dragons. And for me, in when I do sessions in my office, they I have them go to different places. So like the everyone's in front of me, kind of like at the top of my wall, like I don't know, the top of the room. Everyone's in front of me, and I have the archangels on the left, and the galactics in the middle, and the dragons on the right. And your soul is actually kind of within me, like I feel it in the back of my heart, where they just come up through me. And so everyone has their place too. So that helps categorize it. But I don't always see like angels, I don't always see them as angels. I'll see them as colored energy. Like Archangel Michael is dark purple, Metatron is a lighter, like dusty lavender, even galactics. Because if your higher selves, your soul's other soul sparks, right? Because your soul's having all these lives at once. So if your soul is having lives in Pleiades, and your seventh dimensional Palladian self comes through, they're standing in front of me, not 100%, they're still see through. They're standing in front of me talking. But if it's your 15th dimensional Palladian collective consciousness, then they may be like yours. Leave. Not going to look at you now because I have to look up. But like yours is burgundy, and they're telling me seventh dimension, and it's just like this burgundy, misty cloud, because collective consciousnesses kind of rise to the ceiling for me. You know, I just, it's like everyone has an assigned seat in class. And so yeah, so yours rises. You have a lot of dragons too. I'm in my living room right now. So my whole dining room is filled with dragons. They like that I'm out here because there's a lot more room for everybody to be bigger. Because in my office, they have to shrink down so I can see them all. So they're really big and
Hmm.
they're all in my dining room. So a
And they
lot of
like to be big
dragon
and take up
energy.
space.
Yeah, apparently for you, I don't know. I never do sessions out here. So, but yeah. So, I
Burgundy is
see why are you burgundy? Palladian. For me, the frequencies of Pallades remind me of my high school colors. They're like burgundy and turquoise. That's because every frequency, it has a color, it has a tone. It's like the rainbow, right? It's a frequency band. So to me, we're not just in sixth dimension and here we are. Like right now, we're wafting between 3 and 5, and then you go into a meditation and you're up in 7 and you're all blissed out and you open your eyes and you're like, okay, I'm glowing. We're just kind of floating in the different frequency bands all the time. It's not as black and white as people think. So yeah,
yeah,
I do
that's really
see the
important for people
colors
to
of
understand.
Oh yeah, yeah. That everything is true and you can be everywhere and shift in and out of it. But I do see the colors of the frequencies, but I also see the energetic lines that go between people, in relationships, you and your other lives, you and your family. I can also look at those lines and see what's going on.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's something about the color red and burgundy that I'm really attached to. Like I've collected many like red and pink crystals. So that's
Really.
pretty interesting.
Well, pink is
Um,
unconditional love, like rose quartz, unconditional love. Burgundy, your Palladian collective is saying burgundy is the depth of powerful love. The dragons are over there like, yeah, that's what it is. And there's a golden dragon, but the burgundy dragon steps forward. And he's like, that's it. To me, dragon energy is the energy of empowerment. So no matter what element, water, earth, air, no matter what chakra, the dragons are bringing empowerment to that, the power of love, the power of communication and expression, the power, they're just getting everyone to step fully into their divine self, right? So yeah, so the golden dragon has been hanging out with you because of the wisdom and knowledge. It's that golden dragon because you're calling in a lot of wisdom and knowledge. You're calling it in a lot of Lyran, a lot of Palladian. But not only are you calling it in, but you're sending it right out. So you say your TikTok doing well. Yeah, because you're sending it right out. And as we say stuff, we're bringing the frequency with it, right? So all that
Hmm.
wisdom and knowledge, you're putting these high dimensional Lyran frequencies, they're programmed in the words you're saying. So someone's watching you, and you probably had this too, where you were watching somebody on YouTube and it just gave you tingles. Yeah, because they're sending out the frequency. But
And
it's
that
the depths of powerful love, is what your Burgundy Dragon keeps saying.
beautiful. Yeah, and
Hmm.
that's kind of my goal, honestly, with the content I make is like I want to be able to bring in the energy strongly and as much as I can. Like I want people to really feel it.
Really feel
I
it.
want to like
And
really activate people.
well, and here's the thing. You are two things. You are because every time, they say words can hurt. Words can do a lot. But it's because we're sending the energy with the words. We're literally downloading light codes into people when we say stuff. But here's the thing. So number one, you are doing that. You are doing healing, sending frequency. You are doing it. Believe you're doing it. Believe how powerful you are. You look at, I talk about Kathleen Cameron, the manifestation coach, because she just believes she's everything and she can do everything and she's going to be everywhere. And so number one, believe it. And I know the sun keeps coming through my window, and I don't know if it's changing the color on me, but it's like it gets really bright and then it goes away. But number one, believe that you're doing it, and number two, remember you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. Therefore, you're doing all of this. They either take it or they don't. I mean, some people are really committed to their misery, and that's why we have the great split. That's why 3D and 5D are becoming two different realities, not two different worlds. Like there aren't, well, Earth is in all kinds of realities, but it's not like the world, the Vesica Pisces, and Earth splits and there's two Earths. Again, it's not that black and white. It's just people fall out of your reality and they're no longer there and you never see them or talk to them because they're committed to their misery. Whereas other people are like, wow, Lane said something yesterday in this, and I don't know what are TikToks just called TikToks. I'm not on TikTok,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
like real short. What are they called? But he said something in that TikTok yesterday. It's really sitting with me, and it like not only opened my heart last night, but I woke up this morning and I just feel like more things are possible. You know, and so people are taking it and it is affecting their lives. That's why we all do this is to help people, you know, up up level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really the big work right now is getting the collective vibration of humanity high enough so we
Hmm.
can really transform the world.
Yeah.
That
and
seems to
and
be kind
the
of what everyone's doing.
yes, and that's what we're all committed to, but also in divine neutrality, understanding that not everybody wants to go here, so I think I had music on it. I think I did that wrong. Let's turn it off. So not every soul wants to ascend. Not everyone is ready to let go of their trauma and their memories and their whatever today. And so while we want everyone to accompany us, it's just not going to happen. And so you give them the frequency and you allow them to do whatever they want with it and you move on. I know, Jay, not to get religious, but Jesus, I just call him Jay. So Jay shows up and he's like, can you imagine if I stayed at people's houses until they were totally converted? I mean, there were a lot of people that had spontaneous conversions or seeing God or whatever it was 2000 years ago, right? But he literally did his work, said what he had to say, showed people, sent out the vibration, and moved to the next village. And that's how he did it. Because it's up to every single human to decide who they want to be, what they want to be, and if they want to stay in 3D or if they want to ascend. All we can do is give them the information. So it's that it's that balance between sending out all the beautiful healing and fully accepting what a person's choice is.
There's an example that I like to think of sometimes of so I heard the story of a man who had a near-death experience. And so he's in this room and there's these like who knows, like sixth dimension, seventh dimensional beings. And he was so excited and like he just felt the love for these guys and he just wanted to like tell them everything about his life and like um he just like he was really kind of steering the interaction. And I like to keep that in mind that there's so much more than you could ever imagine wherever you are above you. So
Hmm.
I like to keep that in mind to try not to steer things in a certain way, even if I'm like really excited and I think this is great, because they might have something that I can't even fathom at this very moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I like to keep that in mind to try not to like, cut myself off from like some kind of experience like that, because who knows what they might have. I don't want to,
True.
waste the time and the connection on, but it's whatever it is like what it was meant to be at the same time. So
Well, true. But like if he's trying to show them everything higher dimensionally, you can just pack up your entire life's memories and send it in one packet. So when I get stuff, when I get downloads, it's everything in one. When I first opened, um, I was going into a coffee shop, a cafe, and there were these two women talking in the doorway. And so I touched the one's shoulder and said, "Excuse me, can I get around you?" And when I touched her shoulder, literally in that half second, I saw her marriage, I saw her divorce, I saw her pain, I saw the person coming in, she's going to get remarried. I saw everything. I didn't tell her.
wow.
I don't stop and tell strangers, hey, guess what? Tall, dark, and handsome's coming next week. I would never get my grocery shopping done. But if I stopped and told everybody, so usually I just kind of, keep to myself. But I had just opened and I didn't think about it. And so everything downloaded in a half second. So with telepathy, you get the whole movie, you get all the information. So I love how that guy wanted to like share everything with them and tell them everything. Well, first of all, they can see our lives. They can tune in. It's like the Truman Show. I always say it's like curtains. So for 3D, for humanity, the window, the curtains are only open like 1 inch. And then you go to 5D and they're open more. And then you get to your higher dimensional guides. And then you get to your soul when the curtains are wide open. So the more you go, it's not up dimensions, it's expanding your awareness, but we're so used to saying up dimensions. And so the
Exactly.
more you go up dimensions, the more the curtains are open, the more you see the bigger picture. So everyone can look in, but it's hard for us to look out because our 3D brain was created to keep us in 3D so that we didn't look out. So they already knew his whole life. But
Hmm.
yeah, I get what you're saying too about when things happen, and whether it's talking to your guides or just um, going to the grocery store and they're out of your favorite food and you're like, great, do I have to go to another store? I don't have time. I've got to get back home. Whatever it is, it's always an opportunity for something better to come in. Just why I say thank you, universe. So I had an incident yesterday where I wanted this horse and she sold him to someone else. And I was like, you knew I was interested in him. What happened? And she just went on to a story and didn't really tell me point blank and, why she didn't sell him to me. And so, it's, I do the human thing, right? I'm like, well, what happened? Like, does she not like me? Am I not a good horse mom? My horses love me, you know? Like, so,
Mm.
like, what happened? For about a minute. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, thank you, universe, for this, because there has to be a reason for it. And for me, the reason is because a more attuned horse is coming in, right? I could say a better horse, but it's better for me. It's more harmonious with me, a better match for me. And so that's the thing, is when you look at everything as an opportunity to have better and be better, and be in a better situation. And it's always, just think, it's always an upgrade. Yeah.
Mm. Your energy is really infectious too, because you're just so tapped in. You have a really interesting, I feel like you have a really interesting experience with coming online. Um, so what really brought you to the spiritual path?
It was a Reiki session. It was a Reiki class. I owned a web design company like 25 years ago. And I had these women that did spiritual work. And they were like, can we pay you part in money and part in, energy healings, with classes? And I loved learning stuff. So I was like, okay, sure. And they did a Reiki session on me. And I was going through a divorce at the time. And they did this Reiki session, and they're like, doing this and doing all this stuff. And they're like, oh, your throat chakra spinning backwards and this, that. And I had never heard anything. I was sitting in a chair and these women were just waving all around me. And I thought they were crazy. I was like, "Yeah, okay." So went to a class. She had 12 people in the class. That morning, 10 of them dropped out. And you need a partner when you take Reiki class because you practice on each other. 10 of them dropped out. And it was only this other girl and I. And we did the class part, and then we were practicing. And she had told us, the teacher told us that Reiki's from Japan, and that there was a Reiki master would tell you like where to move your hands and what to do. And so I'm like, the other girl's on the table, and I have my hands over her, and I have no clue what I'm doing, right? And all of a sudden, this old Japanese guy, like, I see him in my head, and he's like, "Move your hands here," and I literally ducked. And my teacher said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "There was an old Japanese guy right here telling me what to do." She's like, "No, it's your Reiki master. It's good." And so I had that all through class. And then I got home. And when I got home from that first day of class, I could just hear everything. I don't know why I opened so spontaneously and so widely. I have no clue. Obviously, soul contracts. It's how my soul wanted to do it in this life. But I mean, I could hear all of the dogs in the neighborhood. I could connect in with everything. Mediumship. I'll do it in session if someone wants to talk to someone passed on, but I don't like, you know, practice it usually. And that first night I went to bed, and woke up to go to the bathroom, and there were just a line of dead people all the way down my bedroom to the door out the hallway. And my kids were really little. And I'm like, what are you people doing in my house? Well, they wanted me to give messages. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to strangers, So everything opened up. Um, there was one dead guy named Mike that hung around with me. And for some reason, I just didn't tell him to go away. He was very entertaining. And I hung out with him for 3 weeks. And at the end of 3 weeks, he was like, "You know who I am?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're Mike. You're some 20-year-old guy that died in a car accident, and you hang around me." And he's like, "You know who I am?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're Mike." And he goes, "You know who I am?" And I go, "Okay, who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Archangel Michael." And I didn't know much about archangels at that time. And I'm like, "Okay, show me." And he just, the light was so bright that it was like my heart was bursting out of my body, tears streaming down my face. I'm like, stop, stop. To this day, every once in a while, I'm like, okay, bring on the light, show me. And I want to see how much more I can take. Yeah, I
Hmm.
always just, I'm like, okay, cry uncle. I'm like, okay, done, shut it down, because it's a lot. I mean, their frequency is a lot for us to handle. But yeah, I opened spontaneously, and I could just see everything, hear everything. And most people feel it, sense it, know it. Like the claircognizance, the knowing, that gets me every time, because I think it's just a random thought, unless it's my guide standing in front of me saying, "Hey, do this." If they're just like, "Don't leave for another hour." I don't pay attention. So those
Mm.
ones that are most common for everybody, the feeling and sensing and knowing, are the weakest ones for me because I do the seeing and hearing all the time. And I have done the smelling. I don't like it. I've never done the taste, but the smelling I do not like. So that kind of, I keep that shut down.
Yeah,
So
that's a little invasive. I can see
yeah,
that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
touching people. It's like I don't like getting information, where you pick up a crystal, or you pick up someone's car keys, or you touch them and all of a sudden you see everything. I keep that locked down too, because I don't want to know. Unless you want to tell me, I don't want to know. So yeah.
hmm Yeah, yeah, that could be really disruptive. Um, yeah, it was funny. Like about a month or two after the session that we had, I
Hmm.
was listening to like this like 528 hertz like heart meditation music, and I was really meditating, and I was like my heart chakra was glowing really strong, and then I thought
Hmm.
of you, and then
Thank you.
and that energy just like went to you, and then I felt you return the love to my heart, and I was like, whoa, I
Yeah.
was not ready for a connection. And so I sat in it for a little bit. I was like, whoa, this is really crazy. This is really cool. And then I kind of like moved to the side. I was like, okay, I'm okay now. And yeah,
Well,
so that was a really
thanks.
funny experience.
Yeah, it's and that happens, and sometimes people will say, like, it could happen and I could feel nothing, or I could spontaneously think of you, or I could get a client booked that referred you, and it says on the booking thing, you type at the bottom who's the referral. So you could pop up any different amount of ways or not at all. So it's really interesting. Like um when we were practicing in that Reiki class, she was like, well, talk to each other's souls. And when the girl talked to my soul, I didn't feel anything. I was just like, okay, if you say so. I didn't feel any connection. So sometimes we feel it, sometimes we don't. But I love the fact that you connected with me and I returned it. Go me,
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
other times you do it and people really feel it. They're like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a I've always that's the thing that I've really kind of grappled with trying to understand, and that's something you talked about one time is that you kind of told Archangel Michael or whoever, you were like, no, you don't got to focus on me, go help other people.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
explained to you, no, we're fifth dimensional, like we can be anywhere and everywhere all at the same time. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Multidimensional. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's it. They can be everywhere helping everybody. So never worry about taking anybody's time, whether it's archangels or your guides or, source, all that is, source
Mhm.
energy, God. Like, yeah, they're everywhere for everybody. So they're here to help.
Yeah. You're never alone.
Never,
And
never.
that's something when it comes to other people that
Hmm.
I was like, okay, so who am I speaking to? Like, because I'll be in my heart and sitting in my heart space, and I'll call in people, and I'm like, okay, so is somebody like taking time out of their day right now, or is it just their higher self? And I think it's a little of both. I think sometimes if it's a really sensitive person, then they will really have their attention on the situation. But and
Yeah.
then I think most of the time though, it's just their higher self. It's the version. It's the uh interdimension. It's the um multi-dimensional part of themselves that can do
Hmm.
that, be everywhere all at the
Yeah.
same time.
E- Exactly. Yeah, and when you're connecting with someone, like when I send love to people or when I send compassion or whatever I'm sending. Now, you can send it like I would always say I send it to everyone in Sedona and I send it to everyone in Arizona and I send it to everyone in the United States and I would kind of make the circle get bigger and bigger and bigger because it was just my fun way of doing it. But if if you have a friend that's hurting and you're sending them love and you're picturing putting them in this pink cocoon of unconditional love and feeling, loved and supported, they may feel it, they may not. And, you do it because you love the feeling of doing it, not because you want to make a difference for that person. And even if they don't feel it today, 2 days from now, they could have this beautiful breakthrough because they absorbed all of this love. You know, a lot of
Hmm.
people, we just can't connect the lines. We don't know, but it's always really powerful. And when you're doing it, you're spreading it to the whole world. It's not just that friend, right, that you're sending love to. That love is magnifying and going throughout the world. It's one of the things I can do is when we're doing group meditations, group journeys, I can see where other people are at, and I can see who's being affected by me, whether they're in the room or it's someone completely different. It just they just pop up in my mind screen. It's really cool to see. And so everybody's different, but I've met a lot of people that are extremely powerful and they don't know it and they don't feel a thing. I taught my best friend Reiki and she was incredibly powerful. No idea what she was doing. She was like, "Is anything happening?" And I'm watching all of this energy and sparks and everything. I'm like, "Girl, you know," but she didn't know. So just trust that you're doing it, right? Believe you're doing it. Believe that you're affecting the world because the tipping point is not 50%, right? You know, if we get enough of us, which could be, oh, I've heard 18%, you know, get 20% of humanity sending love, sending compassion, sending peace. That could make the tipping point for all of humanity. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a pseudo scientific concept called the hundredth monkey effect.
Hmm.
Um, and they tested it. There's some monkeys on an island, and one of them learned how to open a shell with a rock. None of the other monkeys were doing this, and so eventually it spread to all the monkeys on the island. They started doing it, and then the monkeys on another island that were unconnected, they also started doing the behavior. And then eventually all the monkeys of the species were doing this thing. And I think it's really funny that it's, if you look it up on Wikipedia, it's pseudoscience.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's a lot of things they call pseudoscience that are
Yeah.
not pseudo. And anyway, apparently they tested it with television where they only broadcasted the answer to this puzzle in like Australia. And then, they did a test with television and a puzzle and things like that.
Mhm.
So I think for humanity, like I kind of get like 10% even. Like I
Yeah.
don't think we need to get too much people and then it's just going to explode to everybody.
Hmm.
So that's a really
Popcorn
exciting
effect.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big awakening for me is when I was like, this was decades ago, and I was like, okay, these people are hopeless. Like this couple. I'm like, they're hopeless. They're never gonna ascend. Like, oh my gosh, they're just so stuck in their little warped reality or whatever it was. And all that is came in source. I don't usually say God because I've had a near death experience and,
Oh,
sitting at the feet of God is some pretty serious stuff. So usually I just talk to all that is, another aspect of source energy. But anyway, so all that is that comes in and says, you realize that anyone can pop open at any time. It's like the popcorn effect where they can have these spontaneous awakenings no matter who they were and what they were doing, and it can happen. And so I always remember, and it keeps you humble because when you look at people that are, narcissistic, really addicted to control and manipulation, and you're like, okay, well, they're hopeless, they're staying in 3D, but you never know. They could have an awakening at any time. It all depends on what experience their soul wants. Some souls want to milk 3D for all it's worth, up to the very end. Some souls are like, no, we're ready to leave now. Like, let's go up to 5D, So it just all depends. But yeah, the popcorn effect, anyone can
yeah.
pop open.
Yeah. That's a interesting part of multidimensionality that, so I've had my higher self, I've been very strongly encouraged to do something. And, but the outcome that my higher self desired was not what I thought it would be. And so I've had a few situations like that, like kind of teach me to trust. And
Hmm.
so one time it was like I should give my advice, and they were like, "Yo, be aggressive with it. Like that's okay. Like you really care about this thing and you want it to be taken care of better." So I gave my advice. It wasn't appreciated, And it led to me being moved out of that situation. And I was like, okay, so they just gave me the stimulus. They're like, okay, so this is going to be the catalyst to get you to move on.
Yeah.
And
Not to get
yes,
you to change that other person's life, but to get you to walk away from the other person and move on yourself. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Multidimensionality, it explains so many aspects of life we live and the things that happen, why they happen. I think so. Some really fun aspects of multidimensionality. I've had times where my vibration gets very, very high. I start like speaking with the sun, like colors are coming to me and I'm sending them back and I'm getting just complete downloads. Like I wake up and there's a bunch of birds. Like I'm always in this field here and like I've woken up and there's tons of birds around me and they suddenly all fly away. I look at the clock and it's 3:33. I'm like, okay. And
Yeah.
then I had another time the cows. So this is when I was talking to the sun. I was really meditating. I was seeing my higher self, just all that communication. I started to have light language start to bubble out of me, and I got scared. I was like, no, no, no. And I saw the cows coming up. And I thought it would be so funny to be a cow. I just thought that would be the funniest thing ever. And then I felt my face start to get longer, and I felt my ears go out, and all the cows. There was like 15 of them. They all stopped everything, and they just stared at me for like 10 minutes straight. So like I felt my energy body like becoming a cow, and then I stopped it. I was like, okay, whoa, whoa. And
So many things are possible. So many
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's multidimensionality.
Well, you can project your consciousness into anything. I always said one of my favorite things trail running in Sedona was to go into photosynthesis. You see all of the cute little flowers on the cacti, and you could just jump right into the flower and it's like jumping into a solar panel, then you just get into photosynthesis and it's the coolest feeling. And
Ooh,
I've had there was this really cool property outside of Sedona, not Angel Valley. It was down in Page Springs. And he had a medicine wheel there. And I used to walk the medicine wheel with my eyes closed and ask the hawks to guide me. And so they'd tell me where to put my feet. And then I'd be like, well, I want to see from you. And all of a sudden, I would find my consciousness within the hawk and I would be watching, like looking down at me walking around the medicine wheel. I mean, it sounds trippy, sounds like a mushroom trip, but honestly,
yeah,
everything is possible. We don't have the rules we think we have. So everything is possible. You just have to get into the frequency where it is possible, and then you can do it. If you're being low
that's
vibration, if you're sad, you're not gonna be able to do anything because you're too contracted, you're too dense.
yeah, and that's what really decides it, right? Is
Yeah,
getting your vibration high enough,
yeah,
and those things can
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah, so that ties into a question I had. What is a good way for people to start to tap into their multidimensionality?
Um, for me, the biggest thing I tell people is you have to believe because so many people are trying things, but then, they'll talk to their guides. And then because hearing and seeing aren't that easy, for most people, um, I'll tell them to ask questions and then they won't pick up the answers, and I'll have clients all the time in sessions be like, well, I was looking for an apartment in this town and it's too expensive and nothing's available. And the one place that I looked at, the landlord was really rude to me during the showing. But then I went to another town 10 miles away and I met these really beautiful people and they told me about this house for rent and the landlord was wonderful. And I'm like, Okay, those are your signs. Like, why do you want to live in the first town? You got your signs, right? So if people want to open their intuition and be, well, they're not exactly the same. Opening your intuition and being multidimensional. Yes, you are intuitive when you're multidimensional. Okay, so being multidimensional and being intuitive aren't the exact same thing, but when you're being multidimensional, you are intuitive. So, how do you be multidimensional? You can do meditation, breath work, listening to music, taking guided journeys. All these different tools will get you up into higher frequencies, will get you to bypass your brain and go into the multidimensional mind. And then when you're there and you've expanded, well, then you are intuitive, because that's just a fact with multidimensionality. You're not in your brain, you're in your multidimensional mind, you're in your multidimensional heart. So you're just going to see and hear and know more. Your intuition and your empathicness is just online. But there are so many things. Someone just asked me the other day, what do you do to be happy, when you're not feeling it, when, stuff goes sideways. And it's like all kinds of things, the things I just mentioned. And sometimes puppy videos, things that make me laugh, things that make me lighthearted. I'll watch a video on someone else's accomplishments, and I'll just be really proud of them and really thrilled for them. There's all kinds of things. So Abraham Hicks has that emotional scale, that ladder of emotion that you can, rise up and up and up. And I'm sure other people have scales too. I think um, Dwayne Hawkins, whatever his name is, I don't know. He has a scale too, I think. But um, but the thing is, when you get happier and you get more free, like you just feel free and you feel happy and you feel the possibilities, that's when you start asking questions. That's of your guides. That's when you start talking to the sun and feeling the downloads. Like, you were getting downloads from the sun. You were getting light codes, right? You knew it, you felt it, and you believed it. And
Hmm.
with everything else, it's the same thing. So when you're talking, believe it. Like, I trained my best friend to see the archangels, to work with them. And the first time Archangel Aurora came to her, she was sleeping in bed, and she woke up and Archangel Aurora was at the foot of her bed. And I'm like, that is so awesome. You saw her, you connected in. What did she say? And she's like, oh, I could talk to her. I'm like, oh my God, what'd you do? Just stare at her? Like, say something. So that's the thing. If you want to be multidimensional, use all the tools to get you out of your human brain, to get you happier, to get you more free, and guided journeys and meditations and breath work. That does a lot of it, where you can really just bilocate. And then once you're there, ask questions, believe you're getting the downloads, believe you're getting answers, believe you're getting light codes, believe that you're talking to the sun and they're answering you. You really have to believe it. Otherwise, you'll just doubt yourself your whole life and not get anywhere. And, that sounds
Yeah.
frustrating to me.
Yeah. That's such an important key, is to believe. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really important.
very important. I mean,
So just
it's
believe
make it or
and then
break it.
start taking steps.
Yeah.
Just,
And
yeah.
here's the thing. There are infinite realities. So there are infinite versions of you and me. One of you made this session. Well, remember when you reached out, I was out of town, and so I didn't get back. So we didn't have the interview the first day that you suggested, because I was gone. And it's like, one version of us had that interview then. One version of me said no, thank you. One version of me did it yesterday. One version of me didn't show up today, and we had to reschedule. All of those realities, they're like fingers, right? All of those realities happen. And I think I tell the story in one of my podcast episodes. I was trail running, and I tripped a lot. Sedona is really rocky. And so
Mm.
I was trail running and I stumbled. I hit a rock, and all of a sudden I divided into three people. And this one hit the rock and kept going. This one didn't hit a rock, just kept running. This one hit the rock and fell. And I just went like, whoop, whoop, like that. And it was like, I opened into three and I saw what all three were doing. And I was like, well, I'm obviously this version of Tracy, because I stumbled and kept running. And then all of a sudden, whoop, they went back together as one, and I kept running. And it was literally happened in a millisecond. And so it was like, I was going down this little hill. So I got down the hill like 2 seconds later, and I stopped, and I'm like, what the hell was that? At the time, I was working with my Arcturian collective, and they taught me a lot of things, or helped me to remember a lot of things. And so it happens. We are in, infinite realities at the same time, because time doesn't exist. That's why manifestation works. You just pick the reality. You just timeline jump to another reality, jump to another timeline where you are that and you are doing that and that happens. But it takes belief and it takes recognition, you know? Like, whoa, I just shifted timelines because it's happening now and I know it. Like I'm getting this gig, or I'm going this place. Yeah. So,
And so and a life path comes into play with that, right?
mhm,
So like if you've got a life path, then that's something your soul agreed to when you incarnated, and
mhm,
that's something you can't change, right?
right. Um, i- you can't change it, but you can complete it,
Yeah.
because usually it is human emotions, abandonment or shame or trauma, you know.
Hmm.
It's usually something specific. Sometimes people have two, and I see them and they're kind of intertwined, but you can definitely complete them. You can complete soul contracts and move on to other environments or other people to help complete the life path. So yeah, you do. Um, Everyone that I've seen, everyone has a life path, but there's always phase one, the catalyst, and phase two. So phase one is you expressing that life path. And the catalyst is you like waking up and completing and going through massive transformation. And then phase two is, you're done with that and you're moving upward, onward and upward. So yeah, you're definitely in phase two because you're just expanding outward and outward and outward, and you're a heck of a conduit. So you're bringing through a lot of light codes, a lot of messages. Remember, messages don't have to be verbal. Messages can just be energetic packets of energy, packets of information for people. And it can be different for everybody. That's why when people, like, when they see, if like Bashar. So Bashar comes to Sedona and he's in the auditorium, and there's like 700-800 seats in that auditorium. Everybody's having a different experience, so they're getting what they need to get. So you're sending what, you could be sending out love and compassion, yet what someone really needs is tolerance. And they got that because you're the conduit and your intention is to give people the frequency they need. So even though you're focused on love and compassion, this person over there needs tolerance, and that's what they get, because they're listening to you. So they agreed, they opened to it. So yeah, you can deliver
My,
all kinds of things.
I've had times where I sit down in front of the camera and I'm just like, I just want to sit here and just stare at the camera. Like I don't even want to use
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And
And when one of my kids, they used to tell me when they were younger, they'd tell me all the time, "Mom, use your words." I mean, I was at a car dealership once getting my vehicle worked on, and I was trying to explain the guy like the sound I heard or what was going on. And I'm just sending him the pictures. And my daughter's like, Mom, use your words. And I'm like, oh God, I'm better at it now. But yeah, it's, you just telepathically just want to do it to everybody. And I don't say that in a lot of my podcast episodes. Like in the goddess episodes, you could feel all the goddess energy. I mean, some of it was blowing me away in the session, but I don't say it every time. It's like, understand that everything is encoded and you're getting downloads from this and you are getting energy healing from this because it's all coming through. It comes through me, it comes through the camera. That's the whole point of listening to any multidimensional podcast or music or anything is to embody the frequency that's being transmitted.
your YouTube videos are very good. I they're not always for me, but when they are for me, they're like really for me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I honest there's some people I don't understand why they're not bigger. Like I feel like you should have uh hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but maybe
I've
maybe
only
that's
been doing
what's
it
going
a
to be happening.
year. You got to give me some time, you know. Plus, everybody's different. Years ago, I could really see myself on stage and doing things in a big way. I honestly, I'm in my 60s right now. I just move slower. I don't want what I used to want. And when we talk about ascension and multidimensionality, I am thrilled for, like the biggies that do have 500,000 subscribers. I'm thrilled for them because they're helping a lot of people. But to spirit, everything is 100%. So whether you have, like, I have a friend that's been working on her YouTube channel for 6, 8 months, or maybe 8, 10 months, and she's got like 60 subscribers. And it's like, but you're doing it. You may only have 60 subs. You may only have 100 views per video or something like that, but you're sending it out there and it's reaching people. You're doing it because everything is 100% to spirit. So I'm, you know, it's I'm fine with my progress. There's other directions I want to go in, and there's other things in life that I do for me. Like now that my kids are grown, this, um, I, I, I don't know. I'm going in different directions, and I know my soul is telling me, like you were talking about talking to the sun. So every morning I go out and I talk to the sun, and I say good morning and I get the light codes. And when you can see the sunrise over here and the moon still over there, I love that, where I can see it. Here I'm in Colorado now, so we've got at sunrise and sunset I can see both the moon and the sun, and I'll get the solar light codes and I'll get the lunar light codes, and I'll bring them in and I'll just burst them out to all of humanity. And I'll just do this incredible thing. To me, that's worth 1,000 YouTube videos, because
Yeah.
because I'm doing such potent energy work. And so um, it's more satisfying to me. It's more fulfilling to me. A lot of the other things I do. So yeah, it's thank you for the compliment, but YouTube is only, YouTube is a small part of it. Sessions are a part of it, but there's a lot more that I do that's really important to me,
Yeah.
multidimensionally.
Yeah, there's a lot of like spiritual rock stars out there. And I don't know, I think I just kind of envision a world where they're more recognized, and maybe
Yeah.
it'll be like that going forward.
It's a beautiful thought. I'd like to see everybody be like that, because then we'd be in 5D or maybe even 6D, right?
Hmm.
But I I lead a pretty reclusive life. I live out in the country. I don't, I mean, I'm outside nature, but I don't go into towns that often. And so for me, I look at like Lee Harris. I've watched how he's grown, how he pivoted when COVID happened and he couldn't do in-person things, and he pivoted, and the courses that he teaches now, and the different things he does, and how big he is. Like how popular his YouTube channel is, how popular his courses are. I'm thrilled for that, but that's not what I want. I have
Yeah.
other things on my goal list. It's like I just the idea. I've run multi-million dollar businesses for years and years when I was younger. They're not metaphysical ones, just brick and mortar ones. And so um, I've had that experience, and I just don't want to be there. You know what I mean? I want time to read books, and I want time to I just want to go talk to the sun and then get on my horse and ride around in the woods. You know? And so, yeah, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying about, some people want to get really big, and some people know that it is their um soul mission. Because right, the soul mission, everyone's soul mission is to be in service to others. But how you do it is completely up to you. And I will tell people when they think that they're not doing their soul mission, I will say again, spirit, everything is 100% to spirit. So when you've got someone like Lee Harris that, gets hundreds of thousands of views and affects, millions of people every month, when you get someone like that, that's 100%. When you get a stay-at-home mom with one child, that's 100%. Like
Yeah.
everything is 100%. So I
Hmm.
understand wanting everyone to be famous and but it depends on what they want. There are people that really want to be on stage and help millions. And I already know that I help millions in my meditations, in my energy, in sending energy. And so I just choose to do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people who know will know. The people on the
Yeah.
wavelength will understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a secret club in that way.
Hmm.
Um,
Generationally too. Like I focus on YouTube. I post to Instagram and Facebook, but I don't engage. I don't really do it. Never been on TikTok. And so for me, like you grew up with technology, and I was already in my 40s when technology happened. And so for me, it's not common for me. It's not something I want to do. I'd rather
yeah.
sit under a tree than make a video, but I make videos because I reach people. It helps. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, so I got one last question to really wrap it up. So,
Okay.
what is one of the funnest experiences you've had?
Multidimensionally, man, it is. There are too many to name. Um, what's really funny is I had a friend that we were listening to Bashar together, and this was probably 15 years ago. And I was like, "Hey, he didn't live in the same state as me," and I said, "Let's meet on the Essassani ship tonight." And so you can buy locate. You just send your consciousness, your awareness to wherever you want to go. And so I went on the ship. I saw him, but he didn't talk to me and he didn't say anything. And so the next day he called me and I said, I saw you, but like you wouldn't speak to me. And he's like, I saw you too, and you wouldn't speak to me. And then the SSani come in and they're like, guys, it's telepathy. You were talking to us telepathically. You didn't know to talk to each other telepathically. So we ended up just staring at each other and not sending any messages because, like, we were on the ship and just, I don't know, forgot. It was silly. But some of
This
my
was you and a
best,
friend of yours?
yeah, this is me and a friend of mine. But some of my
Okay.
best experiences are bilocating, going up on the ship. Um, I just think it's so much fun to go on starships, to go to other planets. Like we, I have another life on Unara is the name of the planet. So I'm an Unaran guy, and if you know what celestite looks like, where it's like gray on the outside and all those light blue crystals on the inside, and so I don't know. I have some around here, but I'd have to go off camera to grab it. And so celestite or celestite. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, their houses are made of celestite. They're like these caves with glowing blue crystals on the inside, and that's where they live. And these crystals transmit the energy. And so it's their light, it's their heat, it's their everything. But what's really cool, I was in a meditation group, in the later years of living in Sedona. There were just four of us, and we would do spectacular things. A lot of things that I won't even mention. Like we would do spectacular things, superhero stuff. And one of the things we do is when we would meditate on humanity on Earth, like and the energetic field that surrounds Earth, it's like the flower of life, the sacred geometry, and it surrounds Earth, this beautiful sacred geometric field. And when we would meditate, we would send all of this incredible energy around Earth to like just seal in humanity and all of this love and really super high frequencies. And the Unarans would come in, and the flower of life symbol, it's just lines and circles, right? It's all the little circles connected by lines. They would come in and they would pour, it was like nectar. It was like we would watch them pour nectar on all of the circles. Like it's like they were, because nothing's black and white. So sure, that's how I saw it. That's not how my friend saw it. She saw it a little differently. But what they were doing is pouring this anchoring frequency to glue together all of the high frequencies we were sending. It was just phenomenal. So, you know, I've had a lot of incredible experiences in the past 22 years, incredible experiences. Um, too many, too many to mention, and most of them were really fun. Some of them,
Yeah.
some of them were a little scary, like when the archangels call you into the circle. You think you're going to the principal's office. That one scared me, but I just made my best friend. I just talked to her higher self. I'm like, come with me. I don't know what's going on, and it was fine. It was beautiful. So yeah. So what I would tell people is wherever you want to go, whatever you want to see, just do it. Do it in your mind. Step into your multidimensional mind, bilocate there. Imagine that you are there on a Palladian starship talking to the Palladian commander, whatever you want. Believe it to be real because everything exists. So it is real because it's real in one reality. So try it, go places, do things, visit galactic beings, hang out with angels, because when you do that, not only is it raising your frequency, but it's recalibrating your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body. It's literally changing your DNA. It's helping you become more multidimensional, like return to a higher vibration. So practice it, do it, and know that it's real. Know that you really did it.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing that really helped me through my journey is that I've just always believed. I've always just known.
Hmm.
So if you just believe and know, you'll get there. You just have to
You
have the
will.
desire. It'll happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for being with me today. This was
Oh,
really
you're
fun.
welcome.
I think
You're
we'll wrap it up
welcome.
there. So thank
Okay.
you so much.